Welcome back to the channel, friends. Here today with another video about Revolut, which seems to be a very popular topic, and rightfully so. This year alone has been extremely successful for Revolut, and all of us users included, right? We really benefited, saw a lot of new product additions. So in today's video, I want to share with you some of the plans that they recently announced at their London event for 2025 and some of the great things that we can look forward to. And I think some of those will be really exciting features. But before we do that, let's also remind ourselves what they've already achieved in 2024. Obviously, one of the headline features was that they finally got their UK license approved, which is really good, so they can roll out more features to UK users. They hit a new milestone of achieving 50 million customers in over 38 markets in 9 years. So that's really impressive. And obviously, they keep on expanding. Of course, myself now being based in the UAE, I really hope they will eventually establish an office over here so we can also use it because we really need it in this market. But it looks like they are applying and in the process to set up operations in the UAE and later on Middle East as well. They also recently announced their newly launched crypto exchange called Revolut X. Made a whole video about this really cool platform where you can basically buy crypto on the cheap, much cheaper than inside the Revolut app. So really cool. And on top of that, I also only discovered that recently they came up with their own investment platform, Revolut Invest. Not in the app, but a separate web experience and app actually. So I'm going to do a separate video on this very soon. But yeah, honestly, that really rivals some of the other stockbrokers out there. So I think that could really be interesting for quite a few investors. And yet another tool I recently came across is called Revolut People, which was really interesting. I was watching an interview with the CEO, which was actually this video over here, where he really talks about the importance of people. And for him, everything is quantifiable, which I really like, right? Because ultimately we need to track, the output of everything, right? And he does that as well with his people. And inside the People app, it's quite interesting. Obviously, it's still starting to be rolled out. They started using that for themselves initially internally, but now it seems, other companies can use that. And honestly, from what it looks like, it's really quite impressive. I mean, you can really track all the goals, KPIs, personal achievements, even the whole hiring process, from getting the CV to scheduling the interviews and so forth, all done through that app. So, I mean, looking at these dashboards, really nice. You can see the anniversaries coming up of people working in your company. It looks really clean, right? Salary revision processes even. I mean, I'm not an HR manager, but I used to run a 5-star hotel and obviously was involved with HR. And most of the platforms we used to use were really old school and painful. So seeing something like this, I think could be really attractive for a lot of companies. So yeah, interesting to see how that plays out. But that just goes to show you how much Revolut is developing and really starting to tap in different areas, right? And I think that's great. They really want to become a super app that basically touches all areas of money, right? From earning it, to sending it, to receiving it, to investing it, even on the business side of things. Right, with this, let's dive in what they actually discussed and their visions for next year. You can see the event was just recently held by the CEO, Nick Stornsky, who I actually met in person in Dubai. He was in the same gym where I was working out, but obviously he was probably in the midst of his set, so not very keen to chat, which I totally respect. I don't like when people approach me in the gym either, but still, I said hi and we had a quick exchange. But yeah, so recently they had a big event. They call it the Revolutionary event in London. So pretty cool. Obviously, they celebrated a new milestone over there and also shared the outlook for the next year. So first off, obviously, like any good companies these days, they talked about artificial intelligence, right? How else could it be? I think if you don't talk about it, you're kind of, losing out, right? And again, like it or not, but AI is here to stay and it's going to touch all our lives one way or the other. So I'm a big fan of using it to your own advantage. And it's nice to see Revolut really embracing it and making it part of the experience. They mentioned, as they say over here, AI-powered assistance to consumers, that basically the app will adapt to customer needs and preferences inside the app, guiding them to smarter money habits, enhanced financial decision-making, and streamlined admin. So obviously we'll see how that turns out to be in reality, because in the past I've seen some apps trying to do similar things, but it wasn't always the best way because they kind of suggest you how to use your phone, right? We know a similar thing from Siri, right? Who suggests your apps and so forth. But honestly, I haven't always found that to be very good. But then again, Revolut, I think, has probably higher chance of getting it right. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out and how that potentially makes my experience better. Because so far, actually, I've been extremely happy with the app, but I'm always keen to see how they can make it even better going forward. So we'll see how that turns out. But obviously, AI has to be a big part of any company going forward. And it's nice to see Revolut embracing that. Now, the second part I was really surprised with, but in a positive way, is the topic of mortgages. Now, we know that we could have already taken out loans with Revolut in the past, depending on the country where you're in. And it's really easy, right? You can apply for loans up to 35,000 euros. And rather low interest rates, I would say, or fair interest rates for not being a mortgage. And yeah, it's actually quite easy to repay. So a lot of people actually told me that they tried it and it was really easy to take loans out through Revolut, and you can early repay your loan, no settlement fee. So I think it's really exciting and much easier than going through your traditional bank. But mortgages is of course a whole different beast. Now I'm not sure if you ever tried getting a mortgage to buy a house, apartment. Honestly, it's a painful experience. We did that recently with my wife for our apartment in Lithuania. Well, it took a number of months, right? Until you find the right bank, until you get the final interest rates, you get all the papers sorted. I mean, it's a real painful process. And yeah, you need so much documentation, approvals, and back and forth and back and forth. And yeah, it really wasn't smooth. So I'm actually really happy to see Revolut entering the space. Now, as they mentioned over here, they're planning to launch that first in Lithuania, which is quite coincidentally. That's where we are based during the summers, as well as in Ireland and France early 2025. So if you live in any of those three countries, I think it would be worth to keep an eye on that. Now, if that turns out to be successful for Revolut, I'm sure they're going to plan to roll it out to more countries in the future. But as I mentioned, the goal is to roll out a fully digital mortgage product that is the fastest on the market, which I'm really happy with, aiming to issue instant approval and the final offer in one business day. I mean, that would be absolutely mind-boggling to get that quickly a mortgage approved. Honestly, I don't know any bank anywhere in the world that is that fast. So that would really make it unique. I'm sure the fees are still going to be competitive, probably on par with traditional banks. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's even slightly cheaper just to make them even more attractive. So in case you plan to buy a property next year, maybe keep an eye on Revolut mortgages if you live in any of those three countries to start with, because that would honestly make your life so much easier. And imagine, right, if you already have your money on here to repay your mortgage, it's also so much easier. We right now took a mortgage through a traditional bank account in Lithuania, which we had to in order to get the mortgage in the first place. And I don't use that bank at all except for the mortgage, right? So now I have to transfer my money from the UAE into that bank account. It takes time, it's expensive. And then just to repay that on a monthly basis, the interface is clunky. So if I could do all of that inside my Revolut app, wow, it would be a real game changer and much easier and much smoother. And I think it would be really, really nice. And I think a lot of people would actually take advantage of such a product offering. Now, another really interesting product that they said they will be working on are ATMs. So when I first heard it, I was like, ATMs, I thought they're going away. We're living in an ever more digital way, right? I mean, the last time I took cash, I don't even remember. But it seems still a lot of people have the desire and need for cash, both to take it out and to deposit. And obviously they're listening and they're working towards it. So it starts, as they say over here, they want to roll out their own branded ATMs, which is really interesting. Starting off with Spain, obviously they can't enter all the markets at once. It's also capital intensive, right? Those machines, to install them, to rent a place where to put them. So, it takes a lot of resources. So they're starting off with Spain and then obviously they will see how it goes. But the idea is that they basically dispense both cash and cards. And in fact, there have already been some of those machines spotted. I believe that is in Brazil. They use those ones in the airport already. We can basically get a card, a physical card from the vending machine. You just select which one. And then obviously you get the card free of charge. It just drops down here. You take it out. And then obviously you just open the app, you register and you link the card to your account and you can start using the physical card with your account. And I think it's such a smart way of getting people into the Revolut ecosystem, right? I mean, you could basically do the whole thing online without having a physical card, right? I mean, as you can see over here, I basically use my Revolut card on my phone with Apple Pay, super easy. So you don't need a physical card, but that's obviously a very easy way to get people into Revolut. It's exciting, it's new, it's different. I haven't seen any other company doing that. So once they have it, they link it up to their account, all free of charge. And yeah, it's a smart way. But it looks like with those ATMs, they're gonna go one step further to also dispense cash. So you can actually get the cash out. And I really hope that they won't have a cash withdrawal limit, because right now with my Revolut card, I'm on the ultra plan, on the highest plan where I pay 45 euros a month. I still have a 2,000 euro hard cap limit, which is crazy, right? I shouldn't have any limit of taking out my own cash. Anything beyond that, I think it's 1% fee. So yeah, I really hope that limit will be waived, because that will definitely make it more attractive and people use those ATMs more than some other bank ATMs. And they also mentioned the fact that in the long term, they plan to have cash deposits, which I think is also a really good nifty feature to add, because yeah, back in the days when I had more cash transactions, at least, I always struggled to deposit my cash into Revolut, right? In the past, I would then go to my traditional bank account, deposit it there, have it credited into my bank account, and from there do transfer into Revolut. And yeah, that's a bit clunky and cumbersome, right? So this way, you would basically just take your cash, go to Revolut specific ATM, deposit it there, and boom, instantly it will be credited into your Revolut account. So I think it will be a real game changer, especially for people who do use a lot of cash, which I don't know who does, but if you do, then definitely I think you're gonna like that feature a lot. And actually they say it might work through facial recognition identity authentication. Now I do hope it's an added feature or an optional feature and not a must, because I know for a lot of people that might be a little bit uncomfortable that you have to every time register with your face to deposit or take out money, even though we see already in China, they have something called FacePay where you basically link up your face biometrics with your credit card. So every time you go to a shop and you want to pay for something, you just look into the camera, confirm the payment with your face, and it will be deducted from your card. So yeah, like it or not, it's probably going to be the future, even though I personally hope that Revolut will still give us the option to do these transactions with our card, or ideally with Apple Pay or Google Pay contactless, right? Because that's one thing I really don't like, since I don't usually carry my physical cards with me, but I still want to sometimes take out money or deposit maybe. You know, in this case, I want to do it contactless with my phone alone. So I think that would be really cool if they had such ATMs in the future. And the last thing they really mentioned as a main focus for next year is Revolut Business. Now in the past, maybe it hasn't gotten the attention that it deserves, because I think it really has a great value proposition. Now obviously they already have Revolut Business in place. You can sign up and use it for your business. I think it does a lot of great things. You can have multiple currencies over there. You can receive payments. You can send payments. You can connect it directly to your accounting software, which is really cool also, because with most banks, it's actually quite difficult to set that up. You can send invoices, really very nice. You can link your other business tools that you have. So they have API integration. So honestly, it's already really, really good. And obviously their goal is to make it even better and roll it out to more places. They aim to offer the top business saving rates in all EU markets by next year. Because I'm actually in the same situation here in the UAE, right? I have a business account and a personal account. On my personal account, I really get some nice juicy interest, but on my business account, I get zero interest, right? So quite a bit of money sits over there because I can't pay myself out all the money every single month. It just doesn't work like that. You know, it's different to your personal income. When you get a salary, you can spend all of that. But in the business account, it doesn't quite work like this. You pay yourself dividends or profits every quarter or so forth. So there's different ways of doing that. So often my money sits around idly. So imagine if I would have Revolut Business, I could keep it over there and still collects interest, which is really nice. And obviously they also focus on going after restaurants, store operations with the Revolut kiosk, which will allow also, as they've mentioned before, biometric payments. And they obviously also plan to continue and push Revolut Pay, which is really nice. Similar like Amazon Pay, Shopify Pay, right? They all come up with these things so that when you go to certain websites at their checkout page, you can just use Revolut Pay and that connects directly with your Revolut account. You can easily pay from there, as well as their buy now, pay later option, which is something I haven't heard about yet that they have it, but I think that's something they will be focusing on. Now, obviously, there are quite a few players in the space. Probably one of the most well-known is Klarna. I think they're from Sweden. So yeah, that's going to be definitely a big competition for them. So if they come out with their own Revolut version of buy now, pay later, I think it would be a real game changer, even though personally, I'm really not a fan of using that. If I can't afford something, I will just not pay for it. Even though I understand that some people say they do it because they have insurance and protection and so forth. But ultimately for me, once again, if I can't afford to buy something, I will just not pay for it and just wait until I can. So guys, honestly, I'm really excited to see where Revolut is going. And I genuinely think these are just some of the things they're working on. They probably have way more. There's also talks about US expansion, because I think that's really a space where they want to grow further. As I mentioned before, Middle East expansion. So I think globally, they're going to be continuing to expand. And I'm also excited to see the various updates to the plans that they have. I'm currently on the Revolut Ultra plan. And honestly, yeah, look at all the benefits that already come with this. And I'm sure they're going to be adding more and more going forward. And yeah, really, really exciting to see what's in store. But I'll be sure to keep you updated on any news Revolut related. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to keep up to date. Next up, check out this video here. As always, thanks a lot for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.